Okay, welcome to Sports on the Go, our weekly online sports chat on GazetteOnline.com. With me right now are our preps experts, Jeff Linder to my left, our preps coordinator, and to my right, prep football writer Jeff Dahn, and we're going to discuss a little bit of prep football this week. First off, one of the big things to come out of week one, I think, was the big win that Jefferson had with all it's dealt with right now with flood victims and kind of a slow program coming up. What did you think about that big win for Jefferson this week over Xavier?
Well, I was really surprised. Xavier had a really good program the last few years, and Jefferson had been struggling. Jefferson had had low numbers in recent years. The flood obviously was a hurdle to overcome. I was really surprised when I heard that on the radio on my way back Friday night.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise too. Before the season, I kind of looked at Xavier as a team that's capable of putting a lot of points on the board, and to get shut out in week one was very surprising. But it's a Jefferson team. Obviously, is going to be playing with a lot of emotion this year. They've players and families over there have gone through a lot, and with the floods, and so it was a big win for them.
Now they're only 2 wins away from the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
It's amazing what that kind of win will do for the morale of a program, and it might just propel them on through the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do next. I believe they play Kennedy this week, and if they can get that one and go to 2-0, who knows how far they can go.
Yeah, it's real interesting. I don't think too many people thought that that Jefferson Kennedy game would be a battle of unbeaten teams, but now it's shaping up for a real good game.
Okay. With that being said, besides that game and that finish, what else caught your eye in week one, and what are you looking forward to in the following week?
I was fairly surprised when I saw the East Buchanan Starmont score. East Buchanan beat them 9-8. Starmont was fairly well thought of going into the season, and East Buchanan was coming off a 3-6 season. That one surprised me. Lone Tree getting their first win in a couple years. They broke, I believe it was an 11-game losing streak. That one caught my eye. As far as this week, I'm going to go see Solon again for the second straight week against Sigourney Keota. And Sigourney Keota has a new coach, and it's going to be interesting to see if they still run the same philosophies as they have in the past.
I guess there really weren't any stunning upsets that necessarily caught my eye, other than probably Jefferson and Xavier. But I was real interested. It looked like Waterloo West is going to have a pretty good team. They got a new sophomore quarterback, and they're going to be playing at Iowa City West Friday night, and 2 new coaches, and I think that should be a heck of a game.
We're here with our college football experts, ready to punch it in for 3rd and 4th down. To my left is Iowa football writer Marc Morehouse, and to my right is Gazette columnist Mike Hlas. First thing we're going to tackle is from Saturday's Iowa game against Maine. Jewel Hampton really kind of had a pretty good performance. Is this just a good performance against a team like Maine, or is this a diamond in the rough? And what other things did you pull away from Saturday, and what can we expect against Florida International?
On Hampton, it's just too early to tell. He was against mostly Maine's second team Saturday. Because Maine coach Jack Cosgrove had seen enough, and he pulled most of his starters. So it's a wise thing. They're going to play games that are making it closer for them. I want to see more in Hampton when he does this against maybe a Purdue or a Big Ten team, or a team maybe people have heard of. Call me. Oh, did you want the second part?
Sure.
Okay. I think positives out of the Iowa game, kicking game. Iowa might have 2 kickers now. I really like Daniel Murray a lot. I like he kicked a 44-yard field goal. I like the freshman Trent Monsbrucker a lot. I talked to his dad today, doing a story for later in the week. They spent about $10,000 trying to make the kicker out of this kid, and so far it's paid off.
That's one expensive foot. Mike, what did you think of Hampton? I know you had a nice article in Sunday's paper about Hampton. What did you pull away from his performance, and any other positives from Saturday against Maine?
Well, I love the guy, and I can't wait to see him again, because there were people like me who saw him for the very first time in their lives, and even untrained eyes like mine said, now that's a running back. Now, I know it was against Maine's second team, and if I watched the replay, I would probably curb my enthusiasm just a little bit, but I think the kid's got it. Well, how much of it is translated this year when they're going up against Penn State or Wisconsin or Iowa State or you name it, that remains to be seen. But I think we're going to enjoy watching him play the next few years. And the thing I took away from the game was that they opened the year last year with Northern Illinois in Chicago. They beat them 16-3, and it was a game that just lacked something. It lacked pop. It lacked focus. They just grinded it out. And this game, they seemed to be very focused. And this Maine team wasn't much worse than that Northern Illinois team was a year ago, but they just stepped on their throat from the get-go and stayed with it for 4 quarters. So to me, there was a difference in attitude.
Okay. We have Florida International this week. More of the same, or is this going to be a little bit of a different performance for Iowa?
Florida International is a legit, that's too strong a word. It's a Division I football team, and not a hotel, not an airport, not all the things I've heard it called. It's a step up in competition. This is a school in South Florida, so the athletes will be, athletic compared to the Maine athletes. And it'll be a step up in competition. We'll see where it goes.
Okay. Mike?
It'll be a baby step up. This team went to Kansas last week, lost 40-10, only mustered 130-some yards. There are a lot of people out there who spend a lot of time ranking every team in the country, and they don't get to Florida International until about number 119 or number 120. There are only 120 teams. So, it's everything Iowa wants it to be. It's another walkover before 10 very serious games come along.
Okay. Now let's get ready to finish it off with 4th down. Alabama had a pretty impressive win Saturday night against Clemson, who was expected to win the ACC. Is this just the exclamation mark of the comments that say, the SEC by far is the best football conference?
I think Clemson was horribly overrated. They're not that good of a football team. But that said, I think the top of the SEC is week in, week out. It's football as good as the NFC Central, and a lot of times these days. You have LSU, you have Alabama, you have Florida, you have Georgia, you have Auburn. I would pay to see any of those teams.
Follow up on that?
Well, here's what you need to know about the ACC. They play basketball. They have 2 divisions. Clemson was picked to win 1 division. Virginia Tech was picked to win the other division. Virginia Tech lost to East Carolina. And then we can go on and on and talk about Duke, but again, it's a basketball league. The SEC plays football. But what I liked about that game is it was a game. Clemson and Alabama. That's a football game in week 1. That's 2 teams from 2 conferences not afraid to put something on the line. And Clemson, put something on the line and got hurt by it. But I admire them for playing the game. Illinois, Missouri was a football game. Tennessee, UCLA was a football game. There were 69 games involving 1A teams. 32 of them were games like Iowa against Maine, and that's just lousy for college football.
Thank you for joining us on Sports on the Go. Pay close attention for next week's schedule, and we'll move to Wednesday instead of Friday on GazetteOnline.com. Please feel free to email any questions you might have at sports@gazcom.com.
Already a time change.